Okay, welcome to yet another hands-on. A warning up front, the stuff we're doing here, it takes a long time. So when you get to that assignment, I mean, don't say, oh, well, I can knock this thing out in 5 minutes. No, there's an awful lot of waiting time. So just when you get to that assignment, just kind of be prepared. All right, so we're talking about DISM, which is a utility for imaging the system that you have. All right, the first step we need to do is we need to boot our machine up into the recovery media that we got, the WinPE disk. Now, the only real way to do that is to shut the server down so it's not currently running. And then we're going to go to settings, and we're going to go down here to the part where the storage is. Now, this part is not immediately clear, so pay attention how you do this. How do you add a CD-ROM to the drive while it's not running? I mean, if it is running, you should go up there and hit device, right? But no. So I'm just going to click on this guy, and it says, so this is a tiny little arrow here, and I'm going to go click this guy. And by the way, you have to wait. I don't know why you have to wait, but it takes it a while for this to come up. And then you say, I want to choose a disk file, and then I put mine in, I just dragged and dropped it into my Z drive. So I'm going to hit that and hit the button. And okay, now if I boot my machine, it's going to come up with that little prompt that says, hey, press any key to boot from the CD. That's exactly what I want to do when I start this guy up. I do want to do this. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start my guy. And yes, I do want to boot from the CD. Okay, so that's about it. I mean, when you boot from the recovery media, or in this case, the WinPE disk, that's all you get, okay? So you might think, well, let me just go to drive C. So I do a dir, C://, and wait a minute, where'd my drive go? Well, they move things around. It's on drive D now. D is in dog. You look at that and go, okay, that looks right. I mean, it's got the stuff I'm expecting to see. It's got my WinPE ISO file and the leftovers from all that stuff. Okay, now normally what you would do is you would run this thing called sysprep. And sysprep takes all the uniqueness out of the image so that when you used it a second time, it's not going to come up with the same machine name as what you imaged. In fact, it's going to come up and say, it's going to produce the out-of-box experience. There's even an acronym, OOBE, out-of-box experience. In other words, if you ran sysprep, it would come up and say, oh, well, who are you and what's your machine name and all the rest of that stuff. So it has all the correct files that are already installed, but it's going to assume that you're installing from scratch. Now, we're not going to do that because when you do sysprep, it alters the donor machine. Okay, I don't want to do that because if I did sysprep and this, okay, fine, great, now let's go back to my machine. Well, you go back to your machine, it's going to say, well, wait a minute, who are you? What keyboard do you use? And it's like, whoa, no. So we're going to skip that step, but in reality, you don't mind messing up the donor machine, right? But in this case, I do. So we're not running sysprep. Now, that's completely not how things work in the real life. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make an image of this system, and I don't have a place to put it. Normally, I'd put it like on a D drive or separate drive, but we don't have a separate drive. So we're going to put it back on the image itself, okay? I mean, that sounds a little weird. We're going to create an image and store it on its own file system. A little weird, but that's okay. Now, to capture the image, you're going to have to type some commands, and I'm going to type it nice and slow because I am not a good typist. So just bear with me. I'm going to type nice and slow. I'm going to type DISM, okay, space, / capture, I already misspelled stuff, capture image, and then I want to do where the image file is going to go. So image file : and I'm going to put it on D. Remember, D is actually my real drive. And I'm going to call it, I don't know, server image. Okay. .wim, that's just the typical thing you would do. And then, what are you trying to capture? So it's capture dir : D:. So in other words, what are you trying to do? where you're trying to put it, where's it coming from. So that cool. And then optionally, you could put a name out there. And I'm going to do that just for the heck of it. So I'm going to type name, Windows Server 2022. I mean, that's kind of optional. Now, I'm going to read through the line, check my notes, because, man, I'm a horrible typist. I can already tell you I misspelled capture. Dang it. Whoa. Dang it. R-E. Dang, I wish I could type. Okay, let me just check it. So it's DISM/capture image file, one word. Okay, server image, WIM, capture dir, co, and then a name. All right, I think I've got it all. We'll find out as soon as I hit the button. And we hit the button. Now, this is not incredibly quick because we're basically making a backup system. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Okay, on my system, that took 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Your mileage may vary. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to boot the machine up normally. So one of the things I need to do is I need to eject the CD-ROM because I don't mean the WinPE disk. I don't need that anymore. So since I'm live, I'm going to go ahead and hit the little devices guy and go to optical drives. And I don't like this delay, by the way. And then I'm going to say remove disk. That way when I reboot, it won't annoy me with press any key to boot from the CD-ROM. Okay, so I'm going to do that next. So basically all you have to do is just close the guy down. And that's going to signal the machine that, oh, we need to start over again. Okay. All right, so do my thing. CIS4376, 25. Alrighty, so in the root of my C drive, I should have a WIM file now. Let's go see. And sure enough, I got this server image, and it's pretty good size. I mean, it basically is a backup copy of your hard drive, essentially. And so, yeah, it's 11 gig. I mean, that's not terrible, but it's big. That's why it kind of takes some time to do some things. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop open another DISM command, and we're going to mount this. So let's just say everything is perfect, okay, and just time to deploy a new server. You can just grab that guy, and say, here it is, we're done. But that's not reality. Reality is you built this image a month ago, and then someone comes up and says, hey, man, we need to add this to the image. And you go, oh, well, I mean, one way to do it would be go back to the donor machine, which by now might be compromised because you've ran sysprep. So it's not really a viable option, is it? But you can build another one and then add the stuff and do this all over again. Or you can modify the WIM file. Now, again, this is not a quick thing to do. All right, so we need to open a command prompt at the, and we're going to be doing an awful lot of this, right? An awful lot. So I'm going to go ahead and do CMD, and I'm going to go ahead and just say pin to start, okay? And then after I got it pinned to start, I'm going to take this guy and drag and drop him onto my desktop, okay? Cool. And then I'm going to add something to, well, if I can get this stuff out of the way. Then I'm going to go do a right click on this guy, go to properties, and one of the things you can do is you can tell it that I want to start as an administrator. So, oops, where do I do that? Shortcut, advanced, run as administrator. Okay, because we're going to be doing this an awful lot. So I just want to be able to hit a command prompt and have it come up. Cool. All right, so now we're running a command prompt. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mount this image into our file system so we can look at it, play with it, add, delete, change, and then save it afterwards. Okay, so I need a playground to put this guy, so I'm just going to go ahead and just type, I'm going to do a make dir, and we're just going to call this, how about server mount? That sound good? Just a place to put this guy? Okay, cool. All right, so once again, I have to type this god-awful DISM command, and hopefully I can do it without making mistakes. Here goes. following my notes as much as practical. All right, DISM. Okay, except this time I'm going to do mount image, space, image file, colon, and then the file that we did, which was backslash server image wim, and then where I want to mount it to, so that would be mount dir, whoops, and it's going to be C colon server mount. And this is, don't worry about what this means. Basically what we're talking about is there could be multiple things on there. This WIM file could have like multiple parts. Ours doesn't. So we're telling it to do image one. Now let me just proof this before I hit the button. So DISM image, mount image, image file. Okay, I spelled that right. Server image, yeah, looks like it. Okay, I'm trusting. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the button. Okay, that wasn't bad at all. That only took about 38 seconds on my machine. Your mileage may vary. All right, so now I'm going to leave this up because we're going to have to come back to it, but I'm going to go to the File Explorer, look at our server mount guy, and I should be able to see everything that is on that image. Okay, cool. Now, so what we're going to do is we're going to modify the image by adding something that somebody forgot. So this is just kind of an exercise. Don't go crazy. All right, so I'm going to go copy the wallpaper guy from supplemental materials. So let's do that now. I'm going to go here. Okay, so I'm going to go down here to our guy, and we're going to go grab something from supplemental materials. I actually asked you to download this earlier, but that's okay. I'm going to pretend like you didn't follow instructions. All right, I download this guy. And I'm obviously going to have to extract it, but for right now, I'm just going to dump it back in downloads, right? So, no, that part doesn't matter. So I have a shortcut, an exe, and a config file. So I'm just going to drag and drop these back into the downloads guy. So basically just, whoops, doggone it. Quit jumping around on me. Okay, so now I have the files that I need. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a location in here where we're going to put this. So I'm going to create a file here called utils. So this is going to be the location where we're going to put this thing. So file, folder, utils. Now, I'm building it here on the image under server mount, but obviously when it gets placed on the machine, it's going to be at C:\utils, right? So you got to kind of keep your head framed on where I put things now and where they're going to end up later. Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark, so you guys know how this works.